Hi guys, good evening. Welcome back once again to the EdWord. I'm your host Eddie, and in tonight's video I will be discussing what I thought of the latest and craziest episode of AMC's The Terror, which premiered just a few minutes ago. I just got done watching it. Yikes. I mean, damn. Just wow. Before I get into all of that, of course, please be warned that this is going to be a spoiler-filled episode review. As usual with most of my episode reviews, this is a spoiler-filled review. If you're not caught up on the terror by this episode or the past couple episodes, do not keep watching, as I will be going and discussing spoilers. So you have been warned. Spoilers starting from here on out, starting now. So going into it. That being said, wow, what a great episode. You know, what I enjoyed about this episode a lot is that even though Tumbach was technically in it for like a brief moment, when Lady Silence was like accepting the role of the shaman to, like, I don't know if it was to control him or to accept him, whatever her ritual was. This episode did not need Tumbach as the main aggressor or antagonist to make this episode interesting. You know, there were so many multiple factors involved. They have to finally decided to abandon ship. They're going to walk 800 miles across open country to try to get to the closest settlement. The captain is very ill, and all of the tinned food is now tainted. The men have been ingesting lead since most likely the beginning of their journey, or if not since that for that long, at least for a very, very long time. The proof is where the monkey died, and we saw it in the gums. So now all these men, a lot of these guys are probably going to be slowly dying of lead poisoning. The doctor setting himself on fire after trying to trap all the men into that camp during a carnival. Oh my god! I mean, it was crazy. This was a crazy episode, and there were no monster attacks. There was no Tumbach attacks. I mean, this episode was proof. This show proved that it can have exciting, thrilling stories without the monster, and I think this episode is proof of that, because this was a great episode. This was really well done. I mean, there's just so much happening. I mean, things have just gotten so much worse for all of our characters. Even though it's been like 2 weeks since the last episode, things have not gotten any better. Most of their food store is gone. Their doctor has killed himself by setting himself on fire, and before doing that, tried to kill all the men. And I don't think it was done out of malicious or murderous intent. I think in his mind, he believed he was saving or sparing all these men from horrible deaths. Because Good Sir came to him and said, we should really tell command about what's going on with the lead food poisoning. And he said, it's not your decision to make. I'll think about it. And sure enough, during the carnival, that's when he decides to pour it's not gasoline, but like oil and whatnot all over the place, and then set himself and the camp on fire. You know, and it's nuts, man. All the men saw the doctor do that to himself, and that probably just shattered any semblance of hope or civility for them, because when your medical doctor, your main doctor, tries to kill all of you and sets himself on fire, I'm sure it has a pretty negative impact on you. I also enjoyed in this episode when Fitz James is talking to Blanky about what happened on a previous expedition. I love the point that Blanky pointed out. He said that if you're going to be withholding certain information from the men, that's fine, that's understandable, but you've got to give them something else in return. And that's when Fitz James comes up with the idea of a carnival, something to lift the men's spirits, a party. And you know, even though they were using a lot of resources and supplies, they couldn't possibly take it all with them when they would presumably start their march for survival. And ultimately, he was right. He was right in guessing that's what Francis was going to originally do. But it was kind of a risky move as well. But God, you know, just such a thrilling, exciting episode, especially that second part. You know, at first I thought, At first I thought, well, Hickey steps outside of the tent to take a leak. Maybe this is when Toonbach will attack or something else will happen. And then we see the figure moving around and spilling the oil and the alcohol over the place. And you're like, oh my God, somebody's about to set this place ablaze. Is it Hickey? Like, is he going to kill everybody as an act of vengeance for his flogging? Nope, it's the doctor. And Hickey actually ends up saving the day. Instead of running for the ships, he sticks around and tears a hole in the tent so the men can escape, but ironically and unfortunately kills one of the only other doctors as well. Because as soon as that knife went into the tent and we heard that noise, I'm like, that's not material cloth tearing. That sounds like he accidentally stabbed someone and he's ripping through them as he rips through the tent, and sure enough, he killed one of the doctors. Fortunately, all the men were able to trample their way to freedom, although several were lost. Although, even though the carnival was a pretty good idea to lift the men's spirits, it seemed kind of a little sick and twisted that they brought the comatose guy out there, even though he was most likely dead already. And now he's definitely dead after his body was stepped on all over the men when they were trying to escape the fire. I mean, I get what they were trying to do for their friend and crewmate, but at the same time, shouldn't they just let him die or let him go? I don't know. Well, he's dead now, but I thought that was just kind of a nasty moment or scene where Francis is looking around and sure enough he sees him like dressed in a costume and his friend is feeding him food or giving him a drink or something like that. But I really enjoyed this episode. I really enjoyed it a lot, especially like the final 10, 15 minutes there. Now, Good Sir is the only, one of the only remaining doctors, with the exception of the guy who gave his buddy the book about the long march ahead, hinting that he should start preparing himself. And several other men have died, and now the show has taken an interesting turn. We are now finally going to, starting next week, we will finally be leaving both the Terror and the Erebus as they begin their long, dangerous journey across the ice. And Toonbach is clearly still out there, and it's most likely going to be stalking and hunting them while they're making their journey, and they'll probably encounter other dangers and elements as well. So great episode, really enjoyed it. I love the fact, once again, I know I'm repeating myself, but I love the fact that this episode proved that they don't need constant monster attacks to keep the show interesting. The human characters are just as dangerous or just as surprising as well. Well, guys, what did you think of this episode? Did you like it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Were you surprised, disappointed? Please leave your thoughts, opinions, and your feedback down below in the comments section. You guys have been doing a phenomenal job with that lately, especially on my Terror episode reviews. I absolutely love that. Thank you so much for leaving your feedback. Please keep it up. I love talking to you guys about this great show. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe as we continue to follow along with the few final episodes remaining of The Terror, with the new episodes premiering every Monday night on AMC. Don't miss it. All right, guys, have a great rest of the night. Thanks for watching, and of course, until next time, may the Force be with you.